What up, everybody? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Off the Record. We love Off the Record. I just referred to my buddy to Off the Record who got a huge ticket, and that's what we do, right? Off the Record is a company that sets you up with a qualified attorney in the event you get a ticket you don't want to deal with, which, let's be honest, is all tickets, right? Only suckers plead guilty to tickets. Smart people get Off the Record. They go to offtherecord.com/TST or they use code TSTPOD on the Off the Record app. That'll get them 10% off all legal services at Off the Record. Off the Record's not a lawyer. What they do is they set you up with a qualified attorney that can help fight your ticket in whatever jurisdiction you got that ticket in. Right? You don't have to go to court. You don't have to meet with the prosecutor. They handle all that. And if they can't get the points off your record, you don't pay. That is the jam, and I am not saying it twice. So go to offtherecord.com/TST or use code TSTPOD, TSTPOD, on the Off the Record app, and be ready if you get pulled over. Have a defense. Don't plead guilty. Get Off the Record. We love them, and you will too. All right, on this episode, we got Dario Franchitti on the podcast, four-time Indy 500 driver champion, three-time Indy 500 winner. He's now the official test driver for Gordon Murray Automotive. We've just had an unbelievable ride in the GMA T.50. Unfortunately, Zach, who came out with us, could not make this episode, but Dario and I talk about not only the T.50, but his unbelievable collection of gentlemanly collector cars, what it's like being judged by Gordon Murray when you're driving your substandard multi-million-dollar cars to the office, and a whole lot more. This is a great time, and it's a real honor to have Indy 500 multiple-time winner, multiple Indy champion, and generally awesome guy, Dario Franchitti, on the Smoking Tire Podcast. Let's go. Live and direct. Direct. This is going to be, we did a thing today that is hard for radio, which is that we hung out a bunch before the show. So I asked, there's a few things I said, stop and don't finish that story because I want to know it when we have these things. So Welcome to Westside Collector Car Storage in our studio, Dario.
Thank you.
Nice to have you.
Thanks for having me. I passed this on the 405 so many times, and it's cool.
And you don't know it's here.
No.
That's the point. That's what we're doing over here.
I tell you what, when you walk in though and see some of those cars.
Maybe one day a T50.
Yeah.
Maybe. It's possible because there are many coming to this part of the world, right?
Yeah. Somewhere about 50.
Yeah.
Out of 100 cars.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Even I can do the maths on that.
I want to talk about T50 because we had a go, and I'm going to give... I understand why, but it was very frustrating to not drive. Even with you, even with a best case scenario, four-time Indy champ, three-time Indy 500 winner, Daytona winner, and a whole bunch of other things too.
I get it. Trust me.
You're a very good driver.
Well, thank you, but it's not like driving it yourself, is it?
As far as passenger rides go, and there's a lot to learn from being a passenger. You can feel a lot of things, but with a car like that, what a tease to not be.
Well, it's it'll come. Obviously, we're going through Shore Display right now.
Yeah, there's rules. This isn't NOM.
Yeah,
there are rules.
But yeah, you will. I think it was a little taster, wasn't it? It was a taste.
It was a taste, and we'll come back to that. But I want to start with you because we've had quite a few racing drivers on the program. We've had two Formula One drivers.
Who you had?
JB twice, Jensen is a fantastic, and we had Alex Rossi, who was also IndyCar, and it was technically, briefly, Formula One driver. Yep. And in a couple of weeks, we're gonna have even more briefly Tiff.
Is Tiff coming on?
Yeah, he's calling in from England,
okay.
but yeah, so that will make three. And you, I think Alex is also Indy, and we've had two other Indy drivers as well. But you're Indy, brief NASCAR.
Brief, thank God.
Brief NASCAR, DTM.
Oh, yeah.
Endurance racing.
Yep.
Daytona. With a hell of a lineup in that car as well.
All right, yeah.
You and JPM and Scott Pruitt.
Yep.
And who was the fourth?
Memo Rojas.
Oh, yeah. Who's he?
Yeah, Memo did, and then, did some stuff with the little Acura as well in ALMS.
Oh, yes, right.
That was a great little car with Tony Kanan and Brian Herta. My brother Marino drove it as well, so that was
Your
cool.
racing Wikipedia page is so fucking long.
Because I'm old.
There is a lot, and I'm reading through it. I'm going, Jesus, his racing record is just nuts.
Yeah, I am old.
So much. You wear it very well.
Oh, thank you.
It's that racing fitness.
Yeah, I think it's having stopped racing for 10 years.
Oh, maybe that could be it.
The
Yeah,
stress has gone down.
Yeah. Well, you've got the fun job.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's like official test driver for the best cars on the planet.
Yeah. My title is Director of Brand and Product.
That's a good title.
We're trying to think of a cooler one, but Gordon came up with that one. So, yeah.
I hate to give him credit for anything, but you probably need to hire like Elon Musk to come up with a cooler title. It'll just be like King Scottish Dick or something like that. Like I'm sure that's a man who's Gordon has whimsy. He'll come up with a title.
Oh, yeah.
I'll come up with a title for you.
Yeah, exactly right. He does. He's got a good sense of humor. So.
I'm good at naming stuff. Give me a couple weeks. I'll workshop some shit.
Thank you.
Yeah, and also obviously a Scot and one of my favorite countries. I love Scotland. What a great place to drive a sports car.
I do too. I mean, I lived there. I've lived in Tennessee for 15 years, and when I retired from driving, I moved back to Scotland. My now wife and I were spending time between London and Scotland, and she decided about halfway through I was building my dream garage and a house. Is
that the one I see on your Instagram where you're looking through the window in your office?
No, that's the one in London. I keep the one in Scotland hidden.
That's like not the good one?
No. The one
wow.
in Scotland
your not
crazy.
Good one is pretty sweet.
It's my dream place. But anyway, I haven't been up there a whole lot. And recently, I took my F40 up there, and I've had it for 25 years. The last 5 years I've been down near London, and it's just become quite boring driving it around there. It's just there's no decent roads.
Yeah.
I took it back to Scotland, did 100 miles on it, and I'm so in love with it.
Probably the greatest.
It's just brilliant. What a country.
Does that car put up with like London traffic and stuff like that? Is it well behaved in those situations?
Yeah, it's fine.
I realize it's not ideal, but it's fine?
It's fine. It's absolutely fine. It's just not fun. And I would drive it round to
25 years. You're not the first owner.
No. Second owner.
Okay.
Second owner with a car. I was a kid when I bought it. I've owned it for half my life.
It's the right car, though.
It's good. Yeah. At the time, I was thinking, "Am I mad? Am I mad spending this much money on a car?"
Nope. Turns out that was a good call.
Yeah, but I bought it because I love it. I love everything about it. And but so Scotland I loved living there. I'd like to go back, spend more time. I love driving there. We've got the coolest roads.
What a great place to drive a car. Even if the car's not an F40. I mean, a little hatchback or a nice touring motorcycle. I mean, you pick it.
I agree with you.
The North, unbelievable.
When I started on the T50 project with Gordon, in my head, the whole time I had, what do I want the car to feel like when I'm smashing it across one of those lovely moorland roads up the north of Scotland? And it needs to do that in a certain way. And that's what we came up with. You were saying today about the way it rides and stuff.
Yeah.
That was what was in my head. All those big cambered roads with all the crown in the road. And it's bouncing from bump to bump and it's absorbing it and it's all independently sprung. And that was the kind of the vision in my head. In fact,
yeah,
that was the vision.
Well, with the width of the car, which is not very wide, and the ground clearance, the approach angle, and the suspension travel, which is, coming from something like a GT3. It's got to have triple the suspension travel of a GT3, if not more.
It does. It has a lot of movement.
And so those roads must just be the greatest.
They are. And that was one of the reasons. When I first drove the car, I went home that night, and Gordon had said to me, "You need to buy one of these." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, it's a lot of money, Gordon." And I didn't. And they all sold in 2 days. And then I drove the thing for the first time. And I couldn't sleep. I was thinking about driving it across these roads. And I called him the next day. I was like, have we got any left? And he said, I saw him 2 days after that, and he put his arm around me, and he said, "Don't worry, we kept you one of the prototypes."
Oh, prototypes. See, that's all right. That's all right.
That's okay.
That's all right. Are they still XPs? No,
XP.
it's still XP.
Yes, there's XP cars, there's VP, there's PP and PS cars. Pre-series.
We were in PS4.
We were in PS4 today.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And how many of each of those are there?
There was like 10 XPs. Mine is number 10.
Cool.
We ended up building about 20 prototypes just because.
20 prototypes for 100 production cars.
But because we got delayed in COVID, and we're like, we need to build these cars. We need to get on with it. We've got customers waiting who've put a big deposit down, and so we had cars all over the place doing all these types of jobs and trying to really compress the development time. So that's how we ended up doing that.
We keep bouncing forward to T50, which I expect will happen probably over and over as we do this. But oh wait, hang on a second. Never mind. Sorry, I'm by myself today. I was distracted by a bit of technicality. I read that one of your early racing coaches was Jackie Stewart, which I think as a Scottish racing driver is somehow mandatory.
I saw you had his book, Winning's
I
Not
do.
Enough.
Yeah. Every person I met in Scotland when I was there for like 2 weeks, every person I met, they'd find out I was into cars somehow, and they'd all have a Jackie Stewart story. Everybody's got one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, let me tell you when I met Jackie. All right, cool, yeah. So what's your Jackie Stewart story?
So my Jackie Stewart story, I was 17. I had been racing karts since I was 10. My parents, my dad technically remortgaged the house for me to go race cars. Didn't tell my mum.
Did he tell you?
I found out.
Huh.
I found out. And
When they took the house?
Thank God they didn't, I'll tell you what. But he had watched me race that year because they had a team, him and his son Paul had a team called Paul Stewart Racing. And he'd seen me drive and he said, that boy there. I was like, he's from Scotland for that name. Are you sure?
Yeah, that fucked me up too.
Yeah, right. And my wife.
The first time I heard you talk on video, I go, what?
Trust me, same thing happened when I met my wife. She just laughed at me. And anyway, so I get this call saying Jackie wants to meet you. It's like, okay. And this was Christmas 1991. And I got to go meet Jackie. So
Kind of intimidating, isn't he?
God, you kidding me?
Yeah.
Well, the situation was intimidating. Turns out he wasn't. So I went to C&A, this shop in the UK, spent like £100 on a double-breasted suit. Thank God I didn't go near any fires because it would have gone up like a candle. But I went to this dinner and I sat next to him and it was the Christmas party. And there was a quiz going on.
Okay.
And one of the questions was about Stirling Moss. So Jackie pulls out his flip phone. Remember the first flip phone, the big one?
Yeah.
StarTAC or something they were called.
Yeah.
He pulls out the StarTAC and he calls Stirling
There's a flex.
to ask the answer to the question. And I just
Did you win Monaco in 68?
And I just thought, wow, we're in the big time now.
That's awesome.
And he, we had this chat and he said, what do you want to do? All this sort of stuff. And at the end of the night, he said, I'll be in touch. And then about 2 weeks later, he called and said, listen, he said, I think we can do this. I'll find the money. You drive the car.
And what car was that you drove?
It would be Vauxhall Lotus and then Formula 3. So
Okay.
Sort of the second and third stages of the ladder. And he was as good as his word. But not only did he do that, he taught me about driving cars, yes, but about how to get your feedback across. But then everything about life too. Even today. Well, that book he wrote is dense. He's got a lot. I think that book's like 800 pages paperback. He's got a lot to say. Yeah, he does. But it's everything in it. There's a life lesson on every page.
Did he take you shooting?
Yes, he did. No, he did up at the school at
the
Gleneagles.
school. Yeah. I went to that school. It's amazing.
Right?
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah.
I lived across the street for a while.
From Gleneagles?
From that shooting school.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic.
Beautiful part of the country. Amazing shooting school.
Isn't it? The other garage isn't far from there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, as it's known, it's known as the I Love Me building. And it's really
awesome.
It's not very far. But yeah, so Jackie was a huge part of my life. And I say this a lot, but without Jackie, I'm not sitting here. I told my oldest daughter, Sophia, that she's 8, and Ellie, my wife, had said to her, this is Jackie, and he helped your daddy, and so it was World Book Day, and Sophia wanted to dress up as someone. She dressed up as Jackie, and then gave all her savings to Race Against Dementia, which is Jackie's charity.
Yeah.
And I was really proud of her for that. It was
That's cool.
because I basically said to her, look, without that man there, we're living in a smaller house, love.
Yeah. So you've raced, a lot of open wheel, predominantly open wheel, but then you've got a couple of years in DTM in the 90s, wide body Mercedes E-classes and such, C-classes and E-classes. It's the coolest looking race cars ever, right? And you're banging fenders and really rubbing it and smashing curbs and that kind of stuff. Mentally, what is more rewarding to you? An Indy 500 that's sort of precision knife edged, or sort of the sort of wild style driving of a DTM field on a road course?
Interesting question, that, because the DTM car required precision to drive it fast.
It doesn't look like that on TV.
Right, but the racing was very... I loved it. I loved DTM. And it was an interesting time in my life because I went from driving with Paul Stewart Racing and literally at times not having enough money to put fuel in the car to get me home from the race to, all of a sudden racing for Mercedes and they're paying me good money. And
Is that when you bought the F40?
That's a couple of years later. That was after my first IndyCar win.
But there you go. All right, good use of that prize money.
Yeah. But I went from driving a Peugeot diesel to driving a C36 company car.
All right. Yeah.
And I bought a little apartment, but then I went out and bought a 3.2 Speedster.
Okay.
So I was living large at that
point.
There you
go.
So DTM was fun. A couple of years. The cars were just, I loved everything about that period, about driving those cars, the people I got to race with. And then, and that got me here. That got me to America. Mercedes brought me over here.
Do you find, a lot of racing drivers that I talk to do have a lot of trouble enjoying street cars after the race cars? You don't seem to have that problem.
Never have.
Yeah.
I never have. I've always loved street cars, and I think my dad definitely got the bug and has had since he was I think 14 years old when he used to steal my grandfather's E-Type, and he always, at one point he had a 911 Turbo that cost twice what our house in Scotland cost.
That's LA math.
Right?
You go to LA, you see that all over the place. Nobody comes to your house here, but everyone sees your car and your shoes and your watch. So you live in a shithole and you drive like a brand new Range Rover with a Daytona and like $5,000 Nikes.
That's how it works.
That's LA math.
Right.
Yeah. but yeah, I mean your personal collection, if you look at someone like Sebastian Vettel, he likes to collect race cars. Once he raced,
but he did have a lot of road cars and he sold them all.
Yeah, he did sell them all.
Daytona Spider, Cal Spider, aluminium bodied Cal Spider.
Did he have an aluminium?
He did.
No. I hear he earns a good living.
He did okay. He had a lot of nice cars, but yeah, as you
but I see on your Instagram, you have the best road cars. I mean, there's the F40, which is pretty raw, but you've got an X-Pac Aston Vantage, which is just, the greatest. You've got a 911 by Singer. You've got a 355. The stuff that I see that you drive on the road is really choice road stuff, which I respect.
Thank you.
And Daytona Spider for yourself too.
That's gone.
Oh no!
Had to go had to pay for the T50.
Oh shit! Oh, that's a tough call, isn't it? Was that a tough call?
Yeah, I loved that car, and it was the car I used the most.
Really?
Yeah, April till October, if it was a dry day.
That's a nice car, blue.
It's Euro car too.
What is the difference between a Euro?
They made 121 Daytona Spiders totally, but 18 were European cars.
Oh,
so a little rarer.
Oh, okay.
There were 7 right-hand drives,
but they're mechanically the same, right? At that time, I think
people would say, it didn't have the smog stuff and all that.
In '71, there was no smog stuff.
A 72 car, but it had. They reckon there was an A series engine. Anyway, I don't know.
Whatever.
I just know it was rarer than a US car. Didn't have those horrible side markers.
The side markers are real. Yeah, that side marker life is no good.
No, but I loved the thing. I loved it, and it was a hard day to part with it. And actually, I went round to Joe McCarry's the other day. Joe sold it for me, and it was there under a cover. I like the fact he'd put a cover on it, so I didn't have to look at it. But then
like a body at a crime scene.
Exactly.
Like, I can't see it.
I went back 2 weeks later. It was still there. I said, "Does the guy not want it? Shall I just take it back home?"
Yeah.
But that was a cool car. I've got a little Integrale as well.
That's a good Scottish B road car.
Great little
for
car.
sure. Yeah. Is all your stuff right-hand drive over there?
Well,
or do you deal with a left-hand drive car on a Scottish road?
I'm trying to think of my cars are all left.
They're all left.
But right-hand is obviously the way the cars are built over there. But I'm trying to think of one of my. Well, the Aston is right-hand drive. But
what a cool car that is.
I love that car. Thank you. Yeah.
They're my favorite, and I'm a big Aston fan. Obviously, like most people that are Aston fans, I get disappointed a lot by what they do. Bless their hearts, they try, but there's nothing better than an X-Pac Vantage.
Oh, there's a way to fix them.
Is there?
There is a way to fix them. When I bought the car, I went. It had been fully restored. A really good bunch of guys had restored it. And I sent it to RS Williams, and I got. I don't think there's anything that's really Aston left in the car.
Really?
Yeah,
they just do a full chassis adjustment. Do they better shocks and
suspension, brakes, electrics. You can get a 7-liter engine if you want. I didn't. I've
seen that. I've never driven one, but I've seen. Yeah.
Joe has a convertible with a 7-liter.
Have you tried it?
Yeah.
Is it the shit?
It's like driving a powerboat. Just goes. But like even the lights
I drove one of those
dash.
twin supercharged things.
V600?
Yeah, they're the silliest. They're the silliest. You know what would keep me out of that is the airbag steering wheel. Everything else about that car, I'll overlook anything, but not that steering wheel.
Can't do it, right?
It's heinous looking.
When you realise that the switchgear on my car, an 84 car, is from a Vauxhall Viva or a Vauxhall Chevette, it kind of takes you down a peg or two. But literally, I replaced the lights on the dash, the headlights, all this stuff to make it so that it actually works.
Yeah.
It sits in London traffic, doesn't overheat.
Is that considered, like in America, we might consider that pro touring? You know, it's like a resto mod kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not really resto because it looks... They're replacing like with like, if you know what I mean.
And the engine has been left alone, pretty much?
No, it was done during the resto. They did like a 5.9 or something.
Oh, okay.
It's not shy of horses.
Everyone puts stroker cranks in these Astons. I drove a DB5 once that had like a 4.6 liter stroker in it. It was
one of those.
It was rad.
Right?
It was a good time. Yeah, it was super cool.
You know, Ferrari guys are like, this car was originally this shade of blue. You can't paint it. Blah blah blah.
Listen,
Aston guys
stay
don't
off
care.
Ferrari chat, dude.
Oh, exactly.
It's the worst.
I used to be a member on there. I was a stalker on there. But like Aston people don't care. My car was originally red. Now it's this
really?
green color. Nobody cares.
Red is nice, but that green, that's pretty good.
Thank
I
you.
would go with the green. But if it was the full red with the red centers and the wheels, I like it in a brash way.
I think you're right. Yeah,
It works.
I went through a whole stage of red Porsches.
Yeah, you've got a CGT in red.
Yeah, my dad's turbo was red. In fact, he's now got it back because I found it and had it all restored for him.
Oh, that's a good son. That's the man.
I love that car. Got a lot to answer for that car. But I went through all these different, literally there was about 7 or 8 of the things lined up with red. And I've started to, come out of my shell a little bit.
What made you do was it just your dad's turbo? That was why you did all the red?
Yeah.
I always wonder when people have these sort of monochromatic collections, like what's the guy? Folks, got to take a quick break for DeleteMe. They've been sponsoring our podcast for a minute, and boy, do we love them. Somebody you know, if not you, has been a victim of identity theft, harassment, scams, or just been annoyed by scams and robocalls. I get annoyed by these robocalls all the time, even though I've been on every single do not call list. They're still calling. It's driving me nuts. Even my parents were fraudulently affected because someone used their mailing address to set up credit cards. It was a whole big problem. Privacy is so important, and our personal information is everywhere on the internet because we buy stuff. We're easy targets. We're shopping online. We're inputting our info into these websites, and it's out there, right? But we can protect ourselves and get peace of mind with DeleteMe. DeleteMe finds and removes any personal information you don't want online, and then they make sure it stays off. It's a subscription service that takes your personal info from the largest people search databases on the web, and in the process helps prevent potential ID theft, doxing, and phishing scams. All you have to do is sign up and provide DeleteMe with exactly what information you want deleted. Their experts take it from there. DeleteMe then sends you regular personalized privacy reports showing what info they found, where they found it, and what they removed. And DeleteMe is not just a one-time service. DeleteMe is always working for you, constantly monitoring and removing the personal information you don't want on the internet. So take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for DeleteMe, now at a special discount for our listeners. You can get a 20% off your DeleteMe plan by going to joindeleteme.com/tire and use promo code TIRE at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/tire and enter code TIRE at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/tire and then use code TIRE. And now back to the show. Chris Evans, all the white
cars.
The white cars, or there was just a white collection that was out in Texas or something. It's like 100 cars, all white.
Just sell.
Yeah, yeah. They just liquidated it, and they're all like delivery mileage. It was, meh, not for me.
Not for me.
But and I like a variety of color. I couldn't do one color, but
no, I've learned. No,
but the green works.
The green's
on
good.
that, yeah.
And then the Singer color is bronze. We do joke that it's based on Scott Dixon's hair dye color. He assures me he doesn't dye his hair, and I don't.
No, it's his tan. It's the tanner.
He goes crazy. He doesn't actually dye his hair, but
that's pretty. It's like, there's like blue wheels on that too, right? That's a pretty aggressive setup, right?
It's gold.
Is it gold wheels?
Yeah, they're gold, bronze with gold.
Maybe I saw a photo of it when it had like the service wheels on it or something.
Yeah.
When you're, I don't know. I thought I saw blue
It
wheels.
has nubuck inside, tan like nubuck, so it's completely unusable. So I got in it. I always wear jeans. I got in it. Of course, marked all the nubuck, and it's all got this special finish on it to stop it.
Are you gonna be? I had this BMW, this M3 that was so mint that, and I bought it because I was like, I want the best one, and it was the best one. And I found myself, I would only wear like shorts or mesh shorts or sweatpants. I wouldn't wear jeans. I would wash my hands before I got in the car. And after about a year, I was like, "This is so dumb. This is so much work for this." And I sold it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it anymore.
I drive mine. Mine's got 2,000 miles on it already.
Well, that's good, and good for you for observing and not letting it ruin you.
Yeah,
because
it could. The way my brain works, it could definitely be like, "Oh, I'm not driving." Mm-hmm. I love that car.
That's a good car.
That's a good car.
They drive. I assume it's a 4-liter car.
It's one of the Porsche Motorsport North America.
Oh,
engines.
cool.
So
I bet my buddy built that engine.
Goes like the wind.
Yeah. They're all right.
Ridiculous. Actually, it's really, really silly fast. I love it.
They are. And you have not yet tried a Gunther Works car, right?
No.
Yeah, I'll have to set you up with them. You should try them.
I feel like that would be like cheating on my buddies at Singer.
That's okay.
Yeah.
They're different things. They're different things.
Whole different. A Singer, in my opinion, cannot be repeated. What they do with the classics, with the turbo DLS, the DLS. You know, my brother.
I saw that he got one, and you had a go.
So
in it, right?
he does all the test driving for Singer.
Oh yeah.
And so I feel part of the family with those guys. But my God, they do some lovely stuff.
They do, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't get a taste.
No,
you should try. They're a different thing. Mm-hmm. The Singer is the highlight reel of all previous Porsches leading up to that point, right? They take the best of everything and then they put it together, and then they also make it really fast. Gunther says, well, what if Porsche kept evolving the 993 forward from 1998?
Interesting.
30 years. So it's a different vibe. And they're more aggressive. They're more like race car-y.
Gotcha.
They've got these crazy wide front fenders. They run super wide front tires. They tram line a bit, but they drive like GT3s. They're really interesting and they're different. There's room for both.
Does it have the harsh ride of a GT3 or is it a bit softer?
It's pretty firm. It's not like unbearable, but it's pretty firm. You kind of have to make them handle like that. It's
with that weight distribution.
Yeah, but they're cool, and they're you drive one, you go, yeah, I understand why this costs what it costs. It makes sense.
How much is one?
The regular coupe is like $600,000 US. The Speedster is $750,000, and then the turbo is like $1.1 million. Wow. The turbo is batshit. I drove the turbo for a week. and I drove it every day. And it never lets you, it behaves. It's civil when you want it to be, and it's lunacy how fast it is. I mean, and you understand why the engine costs as much as it costs. It makes horizontal fan and gold plated, throttle bot. I mean, just every crazy thing you could throw at an air cooled engine. It's crazy.
I love that people are building these cars. Goodwood, I drove 50S this year, but you get to the top and there's a bunch of guys all kind of doing similar things that I do, Marino does, and journalists are driving them, and we all had this conversation about how lucky are we that there's the appetite for these kind of lunatic cars that it's allowing us to play. Yeah, it's because that's what we're doing. We're playing, making these and helping to make these wonderful cars.
And it's so interesting that this type of client, now with electrification, speed is totally commoditized. Go get a Lucid or a Tesla and great. And so up to about, $200,000, cars get faster and faster and faster and faster and faster, maybe $500,000. But when you start cracking that 7-figure number, the buyer isn't looking for more speed anymore. It's more feel and more engagement, and they're demanding manual transmissions, and they're demanding, lighter weight and things like that. And how nice to be in a position to deliver that.
Absolutely. I think your point is well made. If not everybody, but most car companies are going down this route of quicker, faster, 0 to 60s, Nürburgring lap times, the cars getting heavier and bigger, physically bigger, but also heavier. And it's like, we've just, with Gordon Murray, we've just ploughed our own furrow. We're just like, this is what we're doing. And this is Gordon. This is one of the genius parts of Gordon. He's like, this is the way I make cars. If people want them, that's great. But this is what I want to do. I want to make lightweight cars. I want to make cars that you get in it and you engage from the time when we were in the car today, from the time we took off to the time we came back to the car park. I was focused the whole time. I'm engaged in driving this car. If I mess up a shift, you're going to know. I'm going to know.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that level of engagement. And the fact that it's different.
It's so interesting that he has found himself now twice in the right place at the right time, but for different reasons. The F1 was not necessarily set out to be the most engaging driving experience compared to its competitors because they were all stick shift at the time. It wasn't a novelty. It was the fastest top speed by accident. It was just supposed to be this great driving thing. And sort of the way Gordon said it to me was that it solved everything he didn't like about the other cars. And the T50 and the T33 to a certain extent are the same kind of thing, but it's arrived at this moment where all the other cars, or at least many of them, were going so fast in this computerized direction that it's landed right at a time that people are sick of that.
Enough, exactly.
It's like that's smart, yes. Is he talented? Yes, but also what timing?
Absolutely right. And I think he thought about it quite carefully. I don't think it was just, okay, now I'm going to do it. He literally was like, I think it's time, because people have been saying, when are you going to do another one? When are you going to do this? F1 was so amazing. When are you going to do another one? And he literally, I think he probably did think, right, yeah, I'm just not seeing the way this is all going with these other cars. Now's the time. Yeah. And he did that. And then what happened after that is, I've built this car company to build this car. Well, I've got a car company. What am I going to do? So he goes to his filing cabinets, and he has got, I don't know, what is there, 6 or 7 filing cabinets full of ideas for cars. Not just like a sketch, but fully thought out ideas for all different kinds of crazy cars. And so he thought, T33, we can use this engine. And then him and Kev Richards, who you met today, they're like, well, what do we want to do? Is the T33,
I mean, it's if you take the T50's powertrain, but it's 2 seats instead of 3, and it doesn't have the fan thing. But it's considered a sibling, right? It's not like it's a wholly different car.
I think for us, it's a lot different.
Really?
Yeah, it's a lot different. It's a completely different structure. It's iStream ultralight structure, basically. So it's a metal skeleton with carbon panels bonded in,
As opposed to a tub.
as opposed to a carbon tub. It's a more, I love it. It's a more normal car. I think we talked about it earlier. So it's got that feeling of your Boxster Spider, but with that, just the hand-built beauty and a lot lighter and that crazy V12 stuck in the back of it.
The engine is crazy. That is a crazy engine.
That is a nuts engine.
That is a crazy fucking engine. When we were driving up the hill and you're at 6 and there's another 6 to go.
Yep.
That's wild. That is where you're upshifting in most engines, and it's not even really on cam at that point.
No, but I think you saw how low it pulls from.
Yeah, it does. It has torque. It absolutely has torque.
And
it
actually,
does.
33's got even more torque. It only revs to 11.1. So
Only.
we've moved the torque down a bit. Yeah, exactly. But the thing for me with 33, you've got coupe, and the design of that was all the cars from the 60s that Gordon lusted after but couldn't afford, and then did a Spider version. But it was first conceived as a Spider. So Spider's only 18 kilos heavier than coupe. And then the next thing, there's going to be another iteration at some point, which should be quite exciting.
Let's see. I'm guessing I'm going to go with Speedster. It's going to have no windshield.
Think Gordon. Think what Gordon would do.
Well, shit. Now let's see. What would Gordon do? Guys, I got to take one more quick break from the show to plug our own swag. We got WCCS hats available at thesmokingtireshop.com. This is by far the most requested piece of merch we've ever had. The hat that I wear, the blue hat with the WCCS logo, I wear it in every video, on every podcast. You can buy it at thesmokingtireshop.com or go to our website, thesmokingtire.com, and click on that merch tab. Get one for yourself, embroidered, beautifully fitted with a flex fit back, and they're really, really nice. It's the exact same hat I wear. Go to thesmokingtireshop.com. Plus, we have just a few of the Nodus Canyon Night Sky watches left at Nodus, Nodus watches.com. I designed this watch. It's a really, really beautiful piece. 200 meters water resist, 41 millimeter, a beautiful Jubilee bracelet with a quick adjust clasp, our logo, and a topographical map of the Angeles Forest where we like to make our videos in the case back, and a unbelievable gradient blue glittering night sky dial. It's just fantastic. We're selling a $2,500 watch for $1,200. Head over to noduswatches.com. Get one for yourself while supplies last, because once they go, they're not coming back. And now, back to the program.
Think what Gordon would do.
Well, shit. Now let's see. What would Gordon do? Even lighter. It has to be even lighter. It has to be under 2,000 pounds. So maybe a single seat, center seat version of it, right?
But it's going to be the next,
or like the track day version.
Yeah, basically we're trying to figure out. We're trying to give people use cases for the 3, and then 50 is different again. I've bought a 33 Spider because I love my Carrera GT.
That's probably what I would want as well. I would want to drive with the top down so I can hear that engine more. And
but you couldn't hear it.
No, I could hear it okay. It was okay. But I love I love a top down car. I mean, my Spider, the top's down 95% of the time. My NSX, I'm taking the roof off. I like having the Targa roof. I'm pro convertible here in California.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
The fact is, though, I lived in Scotland and now near London, and I still will drive. I still prefer a convertible. And people say, "Oh, but the dynamic, blah blah blah." I'm like, tell you what, if you can tell the difference on the road, you should be doing my job, and I should possibly.
There are some. I mean, you go back to the '80s. Like, all right, fine, but in a good brand new car, it's a. If the car was designed as a convertible first,
exactly.
If it's a Ferrari or a McLaren or even a Boxster, it's fine.
Even the 355 Spider, I bought that in '97, and there's a little bit of movement. I don't care. I'm not going to. I'm not on the road exploring the dynamic capabilities quite that hard.
Yeah.
But you get to hear that beautiful engine.
Yeah. I'm pro Spider for sure.
But then there's people that just love that look. Funny enough, in a Dino, I love the Dino rather than a GTS. I love the GT. Just that beautiful shape.
Because of the shape of the roof.
Shape. And then the 33's got that lovely curved roof as well.
Is the 33 smaller than the 50?
No.
Okay.
It's same width, slightly longer. When I say slightly, I'm talking 10 centimeters.
Okay. The T50 is quite small. The passenger seat, suboptimal for me. I fit, but I wouldn't for very long.
We wouldn't be driving to Laguna Seca.
It's not great. I do wish maybe I can at Quail. I do wish I tried to sit in the driver's seat. I didn't ask.
You didn't?
I didn't ask.
Well, let's do it.
I know. I should have. I'll do it at the Quail.
Week.
Yeah, I'll do it at the Quail. I'll bug Gordon about it.
You know, you think about it though. That car, 3 of us in that today, and that's the same size as your Boxster.
I know.
So that's why.
3 is excellent. 3 is a good thing. We had in storage for a couple of months a center seat 911 conversion. You ever seen one of them?
Yes.
It was a 997, and it was a center seat conversion. And in truly objective terms, it did work. I drove it, and it did work. And there were seats back here, and it was a fun novelty, and it looked like pretty good. But something about moving the steering wheel and something about moving the shifter, it took some of the correct feel out of it. There was like an extra linkage somewhere that it clearly wasn't designed for that. So in objective terms, it worked, but it was not ideal. But I liked the idea of it like quite a lot, actually.
It's completely symmetrical.
Yeah, it was cool.
It makes perfect sense when you actually get in and you go, okay, I get this. I understand why you've done this. With Gordon, I said that, you know, the A-pillars are completely out of your vision, and it just makes sense. Look left, look right. Turn left, turn right. It feels the same both directions, which from my background, that makes perfect sense. You know
who does windshields well too is Koenigsegg. That wraparound windshield where the A-pillar is sort of back here and you just don't see it. Oh, it's great.
It's expensive.
Yeah,
I've been in the car business for a couple of years now.
Yeah, Christian is. You drive one of them?
No.
They're pretty good.
They're good.
Yeah, pretty good. Wow. They're pretty nuts.
I saw we did a car show in Saudi and they had a couple of cars there, and I love it. Again, it goes back to that thing. I went round there and I was like, guys, I'm really happy you're making this. It's completely different from what we're doing, crazy. And it's It's not my type of car, but I'm so glad you're doing it.
You know what you would? I just had to go in the Roof Anniversary, the new one.
Oh, yeah.
Have you driven that yet?
No, but I've been lusting after it.
It's fucking crazy. Oh. It's so fast. Yeah, it's really good. You'd like that.
Such good cars.
You would like that very much. So when you are, I think that your success in racing and your enjoyment of road cars probably makes you the perfect, development driver for this type of car. When you drove the first mules, take me back to when you drove the first mule. You went out for a go on some B roads, or was it a track or some B roads?
It was at Millbrook Proving Ground.
Oh, wow, okay. And what was your first feedback when you came back into the pits and Gordon's there in his Hawaiian shirt?
I think it's on video.
Oh, is it?
I think it's one of our. I think we have it on. We did it as part of the journey on YouTube. So the first thing I drove was an Ultima mule because we couldn't, because of COVID, we couldn't get the tubs out of the supplier to start building the cars to get mileage on the powertrain.
Right.
And especially the ISG, the integrated starter generator that takes over from the alternator and the starter motor. We wanted to. Is that an E motor that's like in between the engine and the gearbox? It's an E motor on the front of the engine.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's on the front side. So I get on that thing and JP O'Brien, big guy and he's working with Cosworth. JP looks like a rugby player, and we're shoehorned into this little Ultima, and we're driving around and we're trying to look all serious and cool. We're doing very serious testing work and mapping and stuff like that. And he says, "Right, shall we go? You want to try 12?" And I put it in third gear, whatever, in this poor Ultima that we absolutely butchered to get the powertrain in it. And I go on the throttle on the banking, and the back squats down, and up it goes to 12, and we just absolutely piss ourselves laughing. It was so cool, and that was the first understanding of what this car
was. The car
like
drivable, or was it? even supposed to be, or it was just a powertrain mule?
It was just a powertrain mule. It wasn't very good because we had literally butchered this poor Altima. Altimas are mega cars, but we had the stuff we'd done to it didn't help its dynamic capabilities. Then I drove 50 for the first time, and that's when the Gordon conversation about buying one came in. But at that point, we could only run it to 6,000 RPM because the ISG couldn't keep up. And it was having all sorts of problems with the gearboxes and stuff and the reduction gears. So I the first time I actually drove it and came back in, I just, wow. It was. Then I had to think about all the things I didn't. Then
you're starting doing math about, okay, I could sell the Daytona.
Exactly. What am I going to sell? Is it the F40 and the Carrera GT? Is it Daytona? What is it? And then, as I said, I ended up with one. But it was very early. It was a lot of little things that just needed, sort of just polished a little bit on the car. You could tell straight away that the bones of it were spot on. Mm. But there was just a little bit here, a little bit there. And then the journey began, the development journey. The development drivers do all the hard work. I didn't do that sort of stuff.
They're just doing miles and miles and miles and miles and miles to make sure things are like smooth, right?
Yeah, and they're like, okay, they would get in the car and say, right, try this damper setup, try this. And then after sort of a couple of weeks, or maybe even a month, I would get back in the car, drive it, go, I don't quite like the way that feels. Can we change that a bit? How about, that's lovely. And then if I was happy, then it would go to Gordon, and Gordon would have a blast in it, and he'd have his thoughts as well. And then we'd put those all together with the test driver feedback, and we'd go back at it again. And that's how we did, and we got closer and closer. So it was a really good process, a lot of fun.
Do you find that you have a good eye for setup, or are you just more of a natural? Like, do you go, no, I need you to take a degree of camber out of this. I need you to take whatever, or is it just like it feels harsh at the front?
I will generally say it feels like this. I think it's this is the problem, but I'm not. I leave it to the engineers, and then we'll go through. They'll try something, and I'll go yes or no. But generally, and obviously over the years you build up a database of knowledge. But I a lot of times will leave it to the engineer to figure it out rather than trying to engineer the car myself. I'll give them what I think is the problem and try and hone in on exactly what's causing the problem, and then let them come up with the answers. Mm-hmm.
Did you ever have any like major offs at the track testing it?
Touch wood. No. Excuse me. No, I didn't. No. And no, I really didn't. I did some running at Nardo. Did some high-speed running on the banking. Didn't do the VMAX runs.
Was there a VMAX, a published VMAX?
No,
there isn't.
No, there isn't. We have to do it because we have to know, but we haven't published a number.
That bad, huh?
I did. It wasn't bad. I tell you what, I did a great power slide. I'm not a guy that slides cars around, because normally I was always taught through Jackie.
Yeah.
Keep the car straight. Keep it pointed straight. So when I sort of tend to try and slide them on purpose, I tend to crash them.
That's pretty funny.
It's not good, yeah. But I did a power slide.
We talked about this on a recent show, that there are some very, very, very good accomplished drivers that can't do skids.
I can't do skids, exactly.
Yeah.
But so I did this power slide out of the last corner of the handling circuit, and the guys were standing there, and I got a bit of a round of applause as I came out. And I was like, yes! I came back in and said, did anybody get that in camera? And they said, of course not. We're not allowed cameras here. Like,
oh, shit.
Because it was a good one. But
is there an onboard camera? Can we get some telemetry going?
Nothing. Oh, it was a cracker as well. And the guys a mile and a half away at the garage could hear. They could hear when it spooled up. Yeah, they heard the tires light up. So
the car's not quiet.
It can be if you drive it a certain way, but I tend not to drive it that way.
The first time, I think I went to Goodwood for the first time last year, but you've ran it the year before that.
Yes.
And when I saw the video, I forget if it was at Revival or if it was at the Festival of Speed.
Members
meeting, whatever it was.
Yeah.
When I saw the video, I was like, holy shit. And then when we went to Festival of Speed last summer, I said, there are a couple of things I need to see while I'm here. I need to see the Beast of Turin.
Yes.
Which did not disappoint
Never
at
does.
all. I need to see the McMurtry Spearling in person.
Crazy car.
And I was lucky enough to see it in the rain, so it had a fucking rooster tail like a cigarette boat. Did not disappoint. And I said, I need to hear the T50. And yowza, to hear that going by, you don't need to drive it. I mean, you just hear it and you go, that's why that's $3 million. That makes sense.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Our last time up the hill was with 2 customers on board, was actually pretty good. I mean, if ever a car was made for the hill,
yeah, it's probably good for that.
Probably, road car, it's probably that.
It's probably good for that.
50S was up the hill this year at Festival of Speed.
Which is the race car.
Which is the track car. Yeah.
What is changed to make it a track car?
Stiffer tub. Obviously, it's completely different interior. Different suspension.
Still manual?
No.
Not manual.
No, it's got a gearbox that Gordon's sort of came up with the idea of it. It's almost like a pre-selector.
Oh.
So it's like a DSG but without the weight. Another 100 horse.
Okay.
Minus 100 kilos and 1,500 kilos of downforce on slicks.
That's probably fast.
It's nuts. It's absolutely crazy. But
I mean, even compare to something like a car that you ran at Daytona.
Yeah, it would be quicker.
It would be faster.
It would be faster than that. Yeah, it's quicker than that.
IndyCar?
No.
Okay.
No, it's not IndyCar, but it's what we've got to do. The thing with that car is I've got him. So Steve Hayes, one of our test drivers, and I are doing most of the running in that car just now. Is we've got to make it so that anybody can drive it. You got to be able to sharpen the blade so that I get in it and I'm not bored. But we've also got to be able to sort of dial it back so somebody with no experience of these type of cars can get in it and go, "This is really good fun."
But is it more? It's more like a prototype than it is like a GT car, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's recognizable as a T50. It's just got a honking big wing on the back and a big splitter on the front.
So how do they spread it out so that and a dentist? I don't know why we're still using dentist. It's not. How do we spread it out so that a crypto bro can fucking drive this thing?
So it's what you do with the setup of the car. It's making sure the aerodynamic map of the car that it's not pitch sensitive. So when you brake and the front gets lower to the ground, it doesn't grab a bunch of front downforce. So it's having a good aero map, and it's mechanically having a setup on the car. Again, damping, but springs, all that kind of stuff. That it just makes it a nice wide window. And you can lift off mid-corner and do something that a normal racing car would just bite you in the ass. But this is not going to do that. It's just going to go, okay, don't do that again, but here's a warning. And when it does start to slide, sort of telegraph it a bit. And obviously you've got ABS and traction control and all those sort of things.
It's some of these, track day cars, I've told it a bunch of times, but I went for a ride in the Valkyrie, the AMR Pro.
Oh, yeah.
Which... Andy Prio was driving, and it was
Andy's not slow.
He's not slow, and apparently the car was on quote balding tires and on the middle power setting, and did a 118 at Laguna with me in the car, which is I thought I was going to die. I mean, it was genuinely one of the scariest car experiences I've ever had in my life that didn't involve a crash.
You're thinking, why are you not braking? And he's pulling gears.
He was flat from the top of the corkscrew, almost to turn 10, flat, totally flat.
Wow,
it was nuts. And I just got out of the car going, "You're just gonna sell this to people? What are you doing? Like, who can drive this? Like, that's not you."
And that's part of the trick of it, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it is, but it's an important question of how do you make these very, very, very fast cars user friendly, because user friendly was not the vibe I got from the Valkyrie. It was, look
like
at this
rabid dog.
Yeah, it was crazy, and the windshield is 3 inches in front of your face, and it was hot, really uncomfortable.
Pretty tight in there.
Yeah, it was not. I had to physically hold my arm like this
to stop bashing him,
just because it wouldn't fit otherwise. This was where it went. Crazy,
good look,
fucking crazy. I maybe one day is there a passenger seat in S?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe if I come back to Goodwood next year. Someone invite me to Goodwood, please, next year. I would love to come back. It was so fun. What a great event.
Right.
Great event.
I was there this last week.
Yeah.
My wife was racing a horse in a charity horse race in an amateur.
At Goodwood?
At Goodwood. At the because they have a horse race track at the top of the hill.
Oh.
So we went.
There's so much going on there I don't even know about.
Every day. It's crazy. But yeah, she was on the other foot. So instead of my wife supporting me as she does every time I go to Goodwood, I was there watching.
They should have them race in the grass up next to the hill.
That would have been, these things are crazy, these race horses.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know.
Is that what your wife does?
No,
She races?
she works for a hedge fund. She did this for fun.
But she rides horses like regularly, right? This wasn't her first go.
No, she did as a kid. She did, and then she trained, for 3 months or something, 3 days a week.
Did she win?
No, she was fifth.
Oh,
but
how disappointing for your family.
Oh my God, I was so honestly, I was so proud of her. She did raise the most money for charity, though.
All right, that's what counts. That's what's important.
I mean, my 2 girls were there, 8 and 5, and they just thought that it was so cool. They just thought their mum was like superhero, as she is. But wow. So I spent a lot of time at Goodwood.
Yeah, what a great place. I can't wait to go back. And when it comes to vintage racing, what is your favorite vintage race car that you've ever raced?
That's a really tough question.
Give me 3. If you can't come up with one, give me 3.
GT40.
Sure.
Yeah. I won at Goodwood in GT40 last year. It's good to show I felt I could still do it.
Real one?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right drive, right shift, or right?
No, right and right. Yeah.
Right hand drive,
right shift.
Right sill shift.
Right sill shift.
Yeah.
Unbelievable! I could show you the in-car from the lap. I did a lap in qualifying, and I said, I don't care how fast that is. I'm not going any quicker. I'm coming in the pits. I'm done. What else? Short wheelbase, 250 short wheelbase.
Mm-hmm.
That was really fun. The Cobra, I've raced a number of Cobras. Right, I'm racing a Cobra this year at the Revival.
Those are a handful.
Those, yeah. They
big block Cobra or small block Cobra?
No, 289.
That's at least manageable. The big block Cobras are fucking death traps.
But the thing is, now you go through the corners so quick in these Cobras, and they've got them doing things that they never did in period. And there's, oh my God, don't drive a Cobra, don't race a Cobra if you're sort of mildly hungover.
I don't want it. I owned a Cobra, a fakie, a lot when I was in my early 20s. And when you're in your early 20s and you want a Cobra, you want one with an enormous engine in it. And the one that I bought it was built by a company called Superformance.
They do lovely ones.
They do really nice cars, yeah. This was their racing demo. It didn't have keys. It didn't have a speedometer. It had battery tap. That was it. And it had a NASCAR engine in it, actual NASCAR engine in it. And it wanted me so dead. And I was 23, and I was not good at driving. I just wasn't practiced yet. I wasn't good at driving. I drove it maybe 10 times. I said, thank you, goodbye, never again.
Probably 9 more than I would have driven it.
It was so shady. It was, and I just talked to Jim Farley from Ford, talking about racing his Cobra. And I'm like, you are too important to be racing a Cobra.
Is Jim Farley the coolest man on earth?
He is up there.
And he's Gordon territory for me. Jim is, he races a GT40.
Yeah.
He races really, really well. Him and Adrian Newey did the race at Daytona
together. You know what he told me? He said he can't make passes on straights because he doesn't want anybody to think he's got a cheater motor. So he says he only makes passes in braking zones, which is like that's exactly how the chairman of a publicly traded company would think, and not how a racing driver would think. Imagine being on the track and having it and going, I can't let them think that I think he's cheating.
I think he's doing Spa 6 Hour.
He probably is.
I'll have to have a word with him because I think I'm doing Spa 6 Hour.
He's a very good driver, though.
He really is.
Yeah,
he drives the hell out of his Cobra and his GT40. Actually, we did Spa 6 Hour last year. My brother, it was Spa. It's an amateur race.
Yeah,
so the driver lineup was my brother, myself, and Jimmy Johnson, and we had the best time.
We're amateurs this year. We're not being paid.
Wait till we start taking it seriously. No, honestly, I don't think I've had a better fun time in a racing car than the Spa 6 Hour.
And what car was that?
GT40.
That's the GT40.
That's GT40. Oh, wow. And I'd never been to Spa before.
Whose car is that?
It's a pal of mine in the UK. He owned, actually both of them were his, and he only races real cars. He's I don't know. I won't mention his name because I don't know if he wants me to, but he is. He only races real cars, and he has one of the great car collections.
Okay.
And he's absolutely mad. Well, he let Marino, Jimmy, and I drive his car.
I mean, it takes, when a car's got real historical significance, it really, when you're in, do the other drivers race like the cars matter in those races?
It depends. It really depends on the driver. Some of them don't, and some of them don't because the cars aren't real. But
Yeah.
I think you got to have a respect there. And I
Do you think the sanctioning body should allow replicas in those races or not? I've heard both sides of
it's
this.
very tough.
Yeah.
Because now, obviously, if you've got 250 GTO, you're not going to really race it anymore. It's just not going to happen. But I think there's a certain... If you own the real car and you've got an accurate copy, I think that's...
Yeah, you have to prove you have the real thing.
You must.
Well, because it's like, as a spectator, it doesn't matter, really, right? You're seeing what it looks, sounds, and smells like.
Yes.
You know, and the racing's probably better if the cars are fakes, right?
Yeah, I just think the risk now is too much.
For sure.
But when people...
But you don't want 3 guys with real ones and 20 guys with fake ones.
No, but then if, as I say, my friend, he will only race real cars, and he's quite happy with that. He's like, oh, I'll accept that. What you don't want is a bunch of guys with cars that were made last week and they're complete hot rods.
Right.
That's not the spirit of the whole thing. And some people take it so seriously, and my view of it is, it's not going to change my life. If I win the race, it's not going to change my life. If I finish 5th, it's not going to change my life. If I finish 10th, as long as I have fun, that's why I'm doing that. It's not like the old days when
Where the paycheck depends on it.
Exactly, and it was my job, and I took it really, really, really seriously.
Yeah. Before we've got a bunch of questions from our Patreon folks, and I want to get to some of those. Before we do, there were 2 things you said when we get on the mic. I want you to ask me these 2 things because I have good answers. I said I want to tell you about the first time you drove up Angeles Crest Highway, which is our local back road. Yes. So why is this a story? It's just a road, isn't it?
Just a road, yeah. So I think it was 2012 or 13. I was racing at Fontana in the IndyCar.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Fun track.
I've got mixed emotions with that place. Yeah, funny old. I was driving from HPD up in Santa Clarita, and I was driving down. I think is it the 210?
Yes.
And we finished the appearance we were doing there at 5 o'clock or whatever, and I was going down. It was getting dark, and of course traffic and all that, and going that way. And I look up and I see the mountains. I thought there's got to be some good roads there, so I pull over. I'm looking at my phone. Yeah, that one looks good. So I'm in Porsche had lent me a 911 convertible or something. I turn off and I go up that road and I'm driving up. This is stunning. And I go through the clouds.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, wow, the stars. And the roads were brilliant. It was just me. It was like 9 o'clock at night at this point. Just me.
After dark, those roads are empty.
Right.
Nobody up there. Yeah.
Anyway, so eventually I got to stop and look at the stars. This is... Stop. Shut the car off. It's dead quiet. And I'm looking up at the stars going, oh my God. I'm just having a bit of a think. It was near the end of the season. It'd been an up and down year. And just having a think about things. And eventually, about 10 minutes later, I thought, right, time to go. So fire the car up, stick it in first, go round the corner. And I've gone about 50 yards. There's a big bear sitting right in the middle of the road.
No way.
Yeah. And I thought...
Never seen a bear up there. I mean, I know they're there, but I've never seen one.
That'll tell you how quiet the road was. Thank God I didn't go around the corner.
Wow.
I'd have been barefoot that night.
Yikes.
Yeah. So that was the first time.
I thought you were about to tell me that it was a wireless key fob and you realized you left the key at Fontana and driven away, which has happened to people before. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, at night, if you're comfortable at night, because it's dark up there, but if you're comfortable and you know the road, it's really, night is a good time to be up there.
What a place.
Yeah. And the other one you said was, you wanted to tell me what it was like to drive cars to work at GMA and have Gordon judge your cars when you pull into the parking lot.
So the first thing I showed up in, I had a GTC4 Lusso.
Okay.
I pull up in that.
By most standards, a very nice car.
Very nice car. Gordon goes, okay. So then I show up in...
He's like, did I hire the right guy for this?
Then because he'd said at the time, you and I think the same about cars. Then I show up.
And he would never have one of those.
No. Show up in the Daytona Spider.
Okay.
And he's gone,
You're not learning. No more GT cars.
Exactly. So then I show up in the Aston. By this point, he's I still get the shake of the head. Ben, the Carrera GT, he's like, not very practical, but a pretty good car.
You're like, I have a Lusso.
Exactly. What do you want here? And I just ripped anyway. So then I finally show up in the Lancia little Integrale. And he said, whose is that? I said, that's mine. He goes, oh, I didn't think you owned any decent cars.
What pressure though? Like, because people talk about, like office dynamics, right? Like, there's all these articles in these fashion blogs about like, you don't want to wear a nicer watch than your boss. You don't want to wear a nicer suit. You don't want to you gotta dress for the occasion and whatever. The occasion of driving to GMA in what are objectively very nice cars, and have Gordon be like, no.
Showed up in the Singer.
Yeah.
He looked at that and he said, well, I think the tyres are a bit stretched on the rims, aren't they? And we fixed that. It's a lot better now. But
he was right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was right. And then I got one on. I got one over on him. Cousin Joe had lent me his 250 short wheelbase. Which I drove to work every day for a week around the M25. And I pulled into the car park next to Gordon's spot. And I actually got a nod of approval.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, good, nice, that's a good car.
Oh, and yeah, when you cross 10 million, if he doesn't approve, then you just quit.
Exactly. But then I really ruined it. I'm in very touchy territory right now. I bought a new car, and he looked at me when I showed up the first morning, and he looked sort of down over his glasses at me and said, please tell me you're joking.
And it is?
G-Wagon.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's hard to argue with the G-Wagon. They are nice.
I like it. It makes me
nice.
laugh.
Yeah, there are. Is it an AMG?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes me laugh. It makes my kids laugh. When I take them to school in it, it's different than everything else out there.
It is different.
Our generation, Tonka toys, it's got that whole Tonka toy vibe to it. It doesn't handle at all. It's not pretending to be anything other than what it is. But
they have their charms.
They do.
Not for me, but they have their charms. I get it.
I think I can.
What color? Good color?
Dark green.
Yeah, good color.
It only looks green in the sunshine.
Yeah, yeah.
So about 50% of the time in the UK.
Yeah. Good car, though. They're made well.
I like it.
As long as you don't care about gas prices.
But I reckon I can beat it.
Uh-huh.
But he might fire me.
Get the electric Hummer.
That might be worse.
If you showed up, oh man, there's so many cars that you could troll him with.
Rolls Royce Cullinan. That was what I was thinking.
Yeah.
A black one, so it looks like a cab.
Yeah.
I think
they do look like London cabs.
I think he would go over the edge.
He probably would. But he might respect the suspension geometry. They ride very well. If you showed up in the electric Rolls, the Spectre, that would do it.
But if any car was going to be electric, it should be the Rolls.
There is an argument for that.
Right.
I agree. But then I drove the Spectre for a week, and I found that the actual experience of driving it, because the gas ones are so refined, it's only like an incremental change, whereas an electric Hyundai is like catapulted forward in refinement.
Yeah.
It was kind of an interesting revelation. But yes, you're right. All Rolls Royces should be electric.
Yeah.
They just should.
I wanted the Dawn at one point.
They're rad.
Yeah.
Have you driven one?
No.
They fucking kick ass. They're awesome.
I drove a Wraith. We did get it airborne.
Yeah, so it's the same shit. Same thing.
But the problem is, I did a sort of, some buddies and I we do curry night, and we were sitting there and I said, right, boys, I'm thinking of buying a Wraith. What do you think? So, Marino, he's like, yeah, cool. Steve Soper, Steve's like, yeah, cool. David Cuff, who was my first teammate in cars, DC, went, cool. And then Jonathan Whately, who's just taken the job at Audi F1 team, John went, I think he'd look like a lottery winner, mate.
He's not wrong.
That was it. That was the end of it.
He's not wrong.
No. So no more Dawn.
Maybe, hear me out, Corniche. Maybe you should get a Corniche. Our working theory is that you should look like someone who won the lottery 20 years ago. See,
My
now
my
you
wife
have
tells me I win the lottery every day.
triple white Corniche.
But you can do that here.
You can't do that? No, you're not cool yet in a Corniche?
Well, not a white one.
You know, my wife drives a 1991 Turbo R Bentley. It's fucking awesome.
Does she?
Yeah, it's the best. It's so cool. It is the coolest.
That is. So,
Next time you come to LA, if you'd like to borrow it, you can
my
absolutely
word.
borrow it.
My buddy Neil Clifford, he drives one.
It's so cool.
It went home on a
On a
on a
flatbed?
flatbed the other day. Your wife drives a Turbo R.
Yeah. We just got it. A guy in our neighborhood died, and we bought it off his kids.
Oh, deceased spec.
Yes, 20,000 miles, one owner. It's like a gray green with black. It's so awesome. And I put the French market, the yellow fogs in it because you got to do that.
Yeah.
I did that in my Countach too.
Did you?
Yeah, the yellow fogs are where it's at. Yeah, no, get one of them.
I would love it. My first Ferrari was a French car.
What was it? Uh-oh.
Yellow 348.
Oh, nice.
It was the 90s.
Yeah.
Swapped it for a yellow Testarossa.
A yellow Testarossa?
Oh, yeah.
That's rare.
That was rare.
I don't know how many yellow Testarossas I've ever seen.
No. And then swapped that.
348s have
It was dreadful.
it was a TB or a TS?
TS.
Yeah. So have you ever driven a GTB?
No.
That's when Luca came in and went, "This is shit, fix it." And they 1 year, 94 only, and they're actually pretty nice.
Ooh.
It's like almost like a 355 underneath, but without the magnesium valves, so it's a little cheaper to run.
God. My 355.
If you've got a 355, then
it.
you're just
I love it. I've owned it from you.
really.
I used my sign-on bonus from when I started sign on for Team Green to buy that.
That rolls. You blow money in a really appropriate way.
Thank you.
I respect that.
I appreciate that.
We got a few questions from. Do you have? You got 20 minutes?
I got time.
All right, great. We got a few questions from our patrons, and I haven't pre-screened them, so we're going to do it in real time. The first one, we sort of got to this earlier. H. Foley's Freestyle Mixtape. People have fun usernames. How does your process differ when giving feedback on a race car versus developing a road car? And was it difficult to adjust to making those compromises necessary in a high-performance road car? We already covered that somewhat.
I think it's a good question. You know, I use the skill set that I've learned from working with some of the greatest and best engineers in the world on how to narrow down a problem and understanding a bit about dynamics and be able to just pick out issues basically. But then it's obviously very different in that you're not just looking for pure performance, you're looking for all those things we talked about, that sort of magical car. And that was one of the great things about doing this. It was like, I get to work with Gordon Murray and I get to help build a car that I want.
Yeah.
What is my perfect car.
Yeah, it's money.
Yeah, and that's what I did. And so I took the experience of owning and driving all these cars, both good and bad, and put that into this car. And that gave me the bullseye of what I wanted.
That's when when I work with manufacturers, when I'm going on press launches and whatever, and they say, "Well, we've had our racing drivers, develop the suspension," and I go, "Are the racing drivers cool?" Like I have to actually then I go find the racing drivers and I have drinks with them, and I have to find out if they're cool or if they're just like stoic racing drivers.
It's really funny that you talk about that. If you look at Aston with the Valkyrie, Darren Turner,
Darren's cool.
Darren
is cool. Yes, and Andy's cool too.
Right, I'm doing the job at GMA. My brother's doing the job at Singer, and you think to yourself, how did the world revolve? In what way did it revolve that us four jokers are now in this position of helping to guide some of the greatest cars ever made? And it just blows our... I think when we discussed it, we all couldn't quite work out how it happened.
Well, you've got to have been successful enough at racing to buy the cool road cars.
Yeah, but we're all idiots.
Well,
I mean, really,
everybody's an idiot. Everybody's an idiot. And sometimes the more successful people are, the more idiotic they are.
Yeah, it's puzzling. Oh, and Peter Dumbreck too. Peter's done a bunch of stuff with Aston, so it just makes me laugh.
Derek says, if you had to race one type of racing full career, what series would you choose?
I mean, IndyCar. Yeah, IndyCar. The cars of the late 90s were ridiculous. They were so much fun.
Did you like ovals or road courses better?
I started out really not enjoying ovals at all, but I grew to love them. So, but road courses and street courses, they were my secret thing.
Yeah?
I loved,
Bumpy roads. Scotland.
Bumpy roads,
Yeah.
bashing the thing around Long Beach. And DTM taught me a lot about that, actually.
Oh, yeah.
With some of the crazy circuits we raced on.
Long Beach, they've actually, I don't know about in an IndyCar, but Acura let me run some laps in the second gen NSX at Long Beach.
Yep.
And I thought the tarmac was okay. I mean, maybe it's only recently.
When was this?
I don't know, when that car came out, maybe 2018, 2019.
Wow.
It was okay.
Or an
I
IndyCar.
mean, it wasn't Spa, but it was okay.
In an IndyCar, it's quite bumpy. There was one corner, it's better than it was. Up until 2 years ago, there was one corner, turn 8 onto the back stretch, and 9 different surfaces. We used to count them, and each one had a different grip.
That's very California of us.
Yeah.
This is a good one. Sean says, Dario, were there any design or mechanical elements of the T50 that you had to convince Gordon to go in a different direction than he might have originally planned? Anything you disagreed on?
We had a conversation about the steering at one point, and it was very difficult to actually phone, because I'd been away with my family skiing, and I'd flown back to drive the car and flew back to there, and Gordon had driven it 2 days after me and we hadn't talked, and I said, right, what do you think? And he said, I think it's really great, blah blah blah. And I thought, oh my god, I'm going to have to disagree with the big man here. And I did, and I explained what I felt was wrong. And he said, rather than go, well, but I don't care, it's my company or whatever, he said, let me think about that. Can I call you in the morning? In his very gentle way. And I said, yeah. Next morning he called me, he said, yeah, I think you're right. Can you get on that? And I said, yep.
Cool. That's good. Good leader. Thoughtful.
Yeah.
Steven says, favorite Scottish B road, and what car are you driving on it?
Oh. I'm not going to tell you because I'll keep them all secret.
People get mad when I don't do that. I talk about the roads that we're on, but they're for everybody. Yeah. They're not just for me.
We talked earlier about the I Love Me building close to Glen Eagles, and the roads that from leaving there that head around that area, but then heading west up towards Oban. You can find some really nice back roads, and then from Oban up the west coast. It's just, there's nowhere round about that area, there's no bad roads.
The drives we took around Braemar were epic.
Oh, yeah, over the old military road and everything. Yeah.
It was so great.
So about 4 or 5 of my good car pals and I did a tour in that area, and we came down, and that was really, really good fun, smashing past there. And what did I have? My brother had my 911R, and I had my hot rod. I had a 911 hot rod. That was wicked.
Do you have better cars than him?
Yeah.
Okay.
But his father-in-law's got better cars than all of us.
Who's that?
Nick Mason.
Oh. Yeah. Yep.
Yep, Nicholas wins.
Yeah, Nick Mason's, he's all right. He's got a few.
He's just cool.
Flannel Bob, what are some of the best nicknames you've heard in IndyCar?
Nicknames?
I don't know. If you can't think of any, we can skip that one. I don't know about a lot of nicknames in IndyCar. No. I think, good question. That's his username, good question. This one we talked about actually before when we were at the side of the hill. In your opinion, where do automakers commonly make the wrong priority decisions for street driving, and how does the GMA make different choices?
I think we talked about that a little bit earlier, didn't we? The cars have got quicker and heavier. I get them being safer. It's so important. But the cars have become quicker and heavier and less involving. And I think that's we've gone in another direction. We've gone, right, driving perfection. That's one of the 7 founding principles of the company. What does that mean? And it gives you the emotional attachment of driving an old car in a modern car, and that's super important. That you're driving 50 miles an hour, and you're thinking, wow, I'm having the best time here in this car. It's giving you're working with it. You're having to really drive the car. You're not just flooring the throttle and it's auto upshifting and you're hanging on and the torque vectoring's helping you through the corner or any of that stuff. And that's, for some people, that's what they want, and that's cool. Trust me, that's fine. Or if you're driving, you've got a commute and you want to use an electric car, crack on. That's also cool. But I think we've got into a really bad place with cars being heavier and heavier and bigger, and you see the damage it's doing. Certainly in the UK, the potholes and the state of our roads, and a lot of that is to do with cars just being so bloody big and heavy now. Says the man that drives a G-Wagon.
Well, no one's perfect.
That's it.
The funny thing about cars and roads is that for the most part the roads are the same width that they've been for the last 40 years, and the cars are not. And so when I drive my Spider or a Miata or a small car, I can sort of run a line in the roads. Whereas if I'm in a GT3, it's just
one side and the other side. Yeah,
it's inches from the lines, and so that doesn't help me so much.
Did you notice that today? We could make our own.
Yeah,
line.
The car's very narrow.
Yeah,
it's that car is the right size for a sports car. You really don't need a car to be much bigger than that.
No, and hopefully manufacturers are going to see the light a bit, and you can see some now. Even Porsche said the other day, the new 911 is going to be a bit lighter.
Yeah. We'll see about that.
Okay, come on. That would be...
Not the hybrid, but the hybrid is cool, actually. I'll give them points for the hybrid being cool. Did you ever go in that yet?
No, I saw it at Goodwood.
It's neat. I mean,
quite a trick solution, right?
It is a very trick solution, and it is incredibly well engineered. And if someone didn't tell you it was a hybrid, you wouldn't know by driving it, which is very cool.
And I think you and I are cut from the same cloth. We're just massive Porsche fans. I mean, apart from my issue with their Carrera GT stock drive situation at the moment, which they seem incapable of communicating about. Apart from that,
the people in America don't seem to be paying attention to that. They're just driving the cars.
Would that be America, the most litigious society in the world, and nobody knows about it?
I don't know. My one friend, Doug DeMuro, who has one, said that the issue was fixed in his car.
No, they haven't. The part isn't fully developed yet, so...
What is the part?
I think it's to do with where the suspension, the wishbone's attached to the top. I think we don't even know, and they just keep.
Well, he's just driving his.
Yeah, quite right. I would be driving mine, and my old insurance company said, "Yeah, you can do 1,000 miles a year in it," and then my new insurance company said, "No, we can't cover that.
You can't drive it at all.
Can't drive it at all.
Not covered. Yeah, that
so
stinks.
It's sat for a year.
That sucks. Fortunately, it's not going down in value.
No,
maybe you should have traded that for the T33.
The T33 the Spider might be there might be a Carrera GT size hole in the garage, but my wife might not let me sell it. That's her favourite.
Oh, really? Cars. The Carrera GT is?
Yeah.
Why is it her favourite?
I think because when we started dating,
sentimental.
Sure. I took her in it. I've got a picture of her. I'm driving the said roads in Scotland, going quite quickly. And she was fast asleep in the passenger seat, and I thought, she's a keeper.
That was at the first date car?
No, first date we took a cab because our first date was in London, but the first time she came to Scotland, that was what we.
Okay.
That's what we took.
I had a policy when I was dating of not going out on the first date in the good cars. And in fact, I would go the other way. We had a Honda minivan that we'd use for production,
right.
And I would take that.
That was your move?
Yeah. And my now wife, who came out, was like, "So you're not married, but you have this van." It's like, you don't get it. It holds all this stuff. It's great.
The problem was I'd met my wife. A friend that she went to school with was racing in Indy, so I met her at the Indy 500.
Oh, wow. Well, that really sets up a precedent, doesn't it?
Exactly. We're kind of screwed.
Sarang Singh says, can you share a bit on the time you were considering pursuing Formula One with Jaguar? Did other opportunities in F1 ever come up again?
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that. So 95, doing DTM for Mercedes, and I tested the car, tested the McLaren. It was the Nigel Mansell one when he was a bit too big, so I had to make a bigger car. And I tested that, and everybody hated it, and I loved it. I mean, it was an F1 car, V10 Mercedes in it, Marlboro sponsorship. It was cool. Anyway, the test went quite well, and I wanted to do F1 at the time, but for whatever reason, Ron sent me this letter saying, we'd love to have you, but we've got this reason, you can't come and be our test driver. So I went to America. did IndyCar, 97, start 97.
At that time, was there a big difference between the F1 cars and the Indy cars, or were they much closer together than they are like now?
They were different in that the F1 cars were a lot more agile, smaller and agile, because now they're
enormous.
They're bloody huge, exactly right. They're bigger than an Indy car now, which is nonsense. But so I did that, and then I went to America, and I got to the US, and I got a phone call from Ron's assistant saying Ron would like you to come and meet him in Woking when next time you're home. So I went back, had a meeting with him and Norbert Haug, who ran Mercedes, and they were said, right, we want you to come and be our test driver, and it was quite a cool deal. But you raced in America on Sunday. Sunday would fly you to JFK. This is how long ago this was. You get the Concorde from JFK to London.
Now we're talking. Then
we'd fly you private to wherever they were testing. At the time, you tested 3 days a week. F1 teams had their own test teams. You test Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Wednesday night, you do it all in reverse and go back to the next IndyCar race.
Jesus.
And that was going to be my life. But I didn't like the contract, so I didn't do the deal. It was only for a test driving deal, but I didn't do it. And then the Jaguar thing happened, and I'd hurt myself. I had a big crash. Something broke on the car, and I broke my pelvis, but I'd hit my head really hard. And only now I understand head injuries a bit more. I really, really fucked myself up.
Really?
And it took me 3 years to go over it. And I tested the Jaguar 6 months after that accident, actually less than 6 months. And I couldn't learn. I really was struggling to learn different things. I could repeat, but I couldn't learn some different.
Couldn't absorb new information.
Exactly right. And it was really bad. And I couldn't do any of the training required either because I damaged my neck in the accident, all this stuff. It was pretty bad.
Not a good time to start a Formula One career.
No, probably. So I did this deal with Jag, and if the test had gone well, I'd have gone and driven the Jaguar, but the test didn't go well. They didn't really want me either because Jackie had organised it with Ford in the US, and Ford in the US thought it would be a good thing to get me over there because of my profile in America, and the European guys didn't want me, so it didn't make it very easy either.
Sure.
And it was just a shit situation. So that was the end of it, I would say, with my F1 chance.
A fucking F1 car with a cigarette livery on it. I mean, does it get cooler than that?
I don't think
I wish cigarettes weren't so cool, but man, when I used to smoke cigarettes, I felt so cool.
It was those, but that's what we grew up with. We grew up with those cigarette liveries, didn't we?
Yeah.
And they were those cars.
There's a bunch of ones that, as an American, that liveries that I didn't know were cigarettes until later.
Mild 7.
Yeah, no, I didn't know Rothmans was like cigarettes.
Didn't you?
No, not until I went to Europe and finally, saw Rothmans cigarettes.
John Player Special.
I didn't realize those were cigarettes for the longest time.
Was that the coolest livery?
Yeah,
that's up there.
All the best liveries of all time are either liquor or cigarettes, except for the butcher, the Pink Pig. The Porsche, the butcher shop, which I have my Porsche key is the Pink Pig butcher livery.
On the 917.
Yeah. You fucking buy that shit on Amazon and snap it on.
I've driven a couple of 917s.
The best?
Focus is your mind. I drove one around Daytona. Bruce Canopa's one around Daytona.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was
terrifying?
terrified. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just wonderful.
But nice to drive or not so nice to drive?
Oh, awesome. But you're well aware that your feet are ahead of the front wheels.
Like more so than, I mean, you talked pretty calmly about racing a GT40 at Goodwood. And
GT40 is a solid thing.
So it's not value, it's safety. It's if something's wrong, I'm dead in this car.
Yeah. Oh no, the values. I mean, again, you respect the value.
Yeah, of course.
But it's about self-preservation.
Yeah. I've seen one with the body off, and I went, fucking, you couldn't pay me enough money for not a chance. I'm not having a go in that.
Terrifying.
It looks like they wanted you to die.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
They used to put the gas in the chassis, and if the gauge went down, it cracked, and you're okay.
It was nuts. It was nuts.
Brilliant.
And you know Jackie Stewart too well. You won't. So does knowing Jackie Stewart make you think about safety in cars more, or not really? That's his thing, right?
That was his thing, and trust me. I said to him after my last accident, the big one. I said, I said, without you, I wouldn't be here for a number of reasons.
He said, without him, nobody would be here.
We owe him such a debt.
Yeah,
because he got so much shit for what he did.
Yeah,
fighting for the safety of the the sport. Special man, old Jackie.
All the things that he did at that time have aged well. You know, it makes it look like everything he was doing is absolutely common sense, and everyone else was a fucking idiot.
Yeah, and a lot of those people have apologized to him.
Yeah.
So,
I hope
I'm
so.
sorry we were such.
Saying fighting against seatbelts. Like, come on, man! Like this is not going to.
You don't need seatbelts. Okay.
Yeah. Last one before we wrap it up. Michael Cosgrove wants to know, how did you spec your T33?
Oh.
Is it a surprise? Is it red like your dad's Porsche?
Yeah, no, it's not. I haven't. Neither of my GMA cars have been spec'd yet.
Neither.
Well, my 50 is going to be the last one because you do all the production cars, then all the prototypes. They're going to
tear them down and rebuild them.
Mine's is orange right now.
Do you not want to leave it in as prototype spec?
Well, there's going to
it's like safety cone orange.
It needs a full rebuild.
Oh, it does.
Part of the thing. But
I don't know, man. There's stories in that.
I know, but
I understand.
I don't know.
Like,
the answer is I don't know yet. My buddy's got.
Are they going to repaint XP10 on the side of it though?
Yeah.
For sure, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But round where I live, there's 4 of my friends have them. And I was going to paint it the same as.
Okay, Richie Rich. Just 4 of your friends.
We don't. These are normal guys. Well, one's a pop star.
No, they're fucking not.
No, they are. They're normal.
Is one Nick Mason?
No, one is not Nicholas Mason. But these are normal dudes.
It's JK.
Jay's got
definitely fucking JK.
Jay's got one.
Yeah.
But these other guys are just normal dudes. They work their asses off. But one of them in particular, I said to him I was going to paint my car the same as his. And then we had plausible deniability. Was it me or was it you? No one knows. He didn't think that was quite good as idea as I did, but yeah.
Okay, so you don't know what colors yet?
I don't know. I've got so Kev Richards, who you met today, him and I are going to go and spec 50 pretty soon. I've got a really good idea on 33 Spider, and it's a 356 color.
Okay,
it's cool.
All right. I can I recommend Frozen Berry Metallic? Like I think it would look good on one of those. Actually,
yeah, it's a good color.
It is. It would look good on one.
I did like that car. It's a good car.
It's a good. What you think you like it now? What do you drive it?
Cards on the table. Last night I was looking on not an auction site, but I'm not going to mention the name, but in the UK looking at 718 Spiders. Mm-hmm.
They're great.
Yeah, Marino.
Buy one now.
Yeah, Marino had one, and he never really used it much because he's too bloody busy. But he said, "Why don't you just buy my one?" But I really, yeah.
If you do it, and then you got to get the engine I've got because it's just bananas. It's an extra 180 horsepower and an extra 150 torque, naturally aspirated. It's a monster.
Sorry, I've tried speaking. 100 and what?
It's mine. Yeah, mine is almost 600 horsepower, naturally aspirated. It's a 4.5 high compression, 13.5 to 1 compression, and then we shortened the gears. It'll spin the tires in third gear.
And is it because it did need the gear shortened?
Yeah, we fixed that.
The final drive.
Yeah, we fixed that. It's got a proper diff in it. It's great. I'll set you up. That's the guy. That's the way you do it because it's a fucking monster, but it doesn't ruin the ride. It's got plenty of chassis. Yeah, it's real. If you want to try mine, next time you're in town, you're absolutely welcome to try mine. It's cool. Fucking nuts. It's crazy fast. I mean, it's not as fast as the T50, obviously, but like for a little Spider, that's what's up.
Done.
That's what's up. Yeah,
more money spent on cars today.
Right?
Happy
yeah,
days.
I'm an expensive friend to have, Dario. I am problematic for people, although probably not as expensive as you. If you're taking people out in T50s, no wonder 4 of your friends, they've all gone for rides. That's why they're all giving over the money.
They all bought them before.
Oh, they did?
They did.
Well, you live in the right neighborhood then. You'll be up at the Quail, right? Yep. You're going. You're doing the whole thing.
The Quail's the best event.
It's the new thing.
It's just
no one's talking about the concours anymore. Everyone this week is not saying, "Are you going to Pebble?" They're saying, "You're going to the Quail."
Well, the thing with the Quail is you can see, not to badmouth Pebble. Pebble's phenomenal, but for me, I can't see the cars anymore, and it's about the cars. Mm-hmm. I can't stand back and admire whatever it may be. Quail, they keep the numbers in check. It's not cheap to go, but they keep the numbers in check so you can actually look and appreciate.
I just think it's because it's open bar.
Is it open bar?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. What do you think you're paying for? Open bar, open food? Yeah, it's how they do it.
Oh, I know the open food. I didn't know this was
Yeah, it's open bar too. Yeah.
Ooh. So yeah, Quail, we've got a bunch of stuff on.
And then you're
with
racing in
customers.
Monterey.
I'm not racing this year.
Oh, just lapping?
Just lapping 50
Demo laps or whatever?
I don't know if that's even public.
Oops.
But yeah, oh well. But I'm 50S around Laguna. What else am I doing? Yeah, just lots and lots of customer stuff. We've got a lot of the customers coming. And then a couple of car auctions, see what's about.
Oh, you got your bidders passes? You ready to go? We doing it?
I've got my eye on one car.
Yeah.
If I go home with it.
You leave it here. It could be your LA car for when you come to town.
Ooh, I don't come to town enough.
Well, and they give you a T50 when
Do you know anybody's got a storage place?
See?
Yeah.
Yeah, my man with the callbacks. I got bidders passes as well. I'm not buying anything. I don't want anything. I can't have anything. The fact is, they treat you better if you're a bidder. So
they do.
it's worth the background check to get to get the bidders pass.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of all the stuff that at the auctions I've looked through all they send you all the stuff, those lovely brochures.
Yeah.
And the cars for sale.
There's a lot of good stuff. You see the V12 F40?
Yeah.
So pre-auction estimate on that is 600 to 800.
Yeah.
But I think that's low. I think it's going to go for more. It's Ferrari approved. And I think if to find an F40, just an F40, a good F40 with no engine in it at all is probably $1 million.
Yeah, because you could find an engine.
An engine's like $300,000-400 grand for a good engine. So like, and an F40's $2.4, $2.5 now for a good one, dollars
At least.
Yeah. So like, you're telling me one with a running V12 in it is going to go for $800,000? Get the fuck out of here! No way. That's $1.2 million, $1.3 million easy.
You bidding?
No, I don't have that kind of scratch, dude. I don't know. I don't roll like that. I thought when I met Gordon the first time and he walked me around the T50, I went, if I sell every car, the Countach, and I had a Ferrari one, everything, I said maybe I could get a T33 if I sold everything. But it's too late now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm not buying anything. I just want to sit in the good section of the auction. Yeah.
With the free drinks?
Yes. Open bar, dude.
And the pretzels?
Those are expensive pretzels. Dude, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for the ride
fun.
today. I'm still annoyed I didn't get to drive because it's so incredible. But if you're going to ride with somebody,
Patience.
I know.
Patience.
I'm patient. I've been patient. Been looking at this car for 3 years. God damn it. No, even just as a passenger, it's an extraordinary experience.
Thank you.
And you go, it didn't take 30 seconds for me to go, well, I understand why people are spending $3 million on this. This is
£3 million pounds.
with pounds, whatever.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And
Thank
even if you just hear one driving by in person, you get it.
I'll pass that feedback on to the big man. He loves hearing good things.
Yeah. Well, I have a series of Gordon Murray approved shirts that I will be. Ooh. You know what? There's a store by Goodwood that, like, in the town. What's
Chichester?
Chichester. Yes. In the little town. There's a store, and I walked by the store when I was there, and I was like, "Holy shit! This is the Gordon Murray store." And the second time I walked by it, he's in there.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was in there shopping, and I was like, "Oh yes."
He normally does bulk buy at the shop in Carmel.
Yeah. There's a spot.
Oh my god.
I got the perfect Gordon Murray shirt that I'm going to wear to the Quail. It's awesome. It's so great. I'm so ready. It's just for him. My outfits at Pebble are going to be sick this year.
You styling and profiling?
Yeah. Do you dress? No, you're a racing driver. You don't need to dress up.
No, I'll be wearing.
You're handsome.
I might wear a jacket this year because I'm on official Gordon Murray Automotive duty.
Right. But make it nice.
Yeah, I'll try.
You know the Porsche downstairs that you liked the interior on? That green turbo with the houndstooth?
Yeah.
I had a Blazer made out of the houndstooth. Full houndstooth blazer with the tan suede patches. It's fire.
Nice.
Shout out to the Grotto for making my custom blazers for fucking Pebble. I dress like garbage 50 weeks a year, but Pebble, man, I'm good. We got to ship luggage because it won't fit in a McLaren.
Dear God.
All right, that's our show. Thank you to our patrons for such good questions today. Thank you to Dario for his entire afternoon with us. I really appreciate it. And we'll be back next week. Bye.